Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. The big story this morning is the audacious attack by Bodo militants in Assam last night, and we will also discuss on the assembly election results from Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir, which has given a new dimension to the national politics. But let us begin by taking a look at the headlines. Army called out in Assam after Bodo militants gunned down 37 Adivasis, including women and children, at 5 different places. BJP parliamentary meet today to take stock of poll verdict in Jammu and Kashmir, party to deliberate on new Jharkhand chief minister. Intense cold wave continues in North India. Nearly 31 people killed in Uttar Pradesh. Dense fog disrupts life in Delhi. And Indian film industry mourns loss of Dada Saheb Phalke award-winning director K. Balachandar. Big story this morning. Bodo militants shot dead at least 37 tribals and injured several others in orchestrated attacks across 2 districts of Assam on Tuesday evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemned the attacks, even as army and paramilitary forces were rushed to the state. Here are the details.
Allow the situation to further deteriorate in other areas also. Whether they are Jagadi also want to have a strong base. Yes, will not allow, and you have seen how our police has been active. We have given clear instruction. Yes, there is a big move for different sources to destabilize this part of the country, northeast.
Less than 3 hours after Assam Chief Minister resolved to continue counter-insurgency operations, 5 audacious attacks by Bodo militants. At least 37 people were mowed down by AK-47 bullets in Assam's Kokrajhar and Sonitpur districts late on Tuesday evening. The casualties were the highest in the Adivasi area of Simangpara. The army was called in to maintain law and order. Calling it an act of cowardice in a Twitter post, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi late on Tuesday evening. Home Minister Rajnath Singh will be visiting the state on Wednesday. The police suspect involvement of a breakaway faction of Bodo militants behind the attack. Lately, the group suffered heavy casualties during operations by the security forces. Their last encounter with the security forces on Sunday left 2 militants dead. The attack also comes ahead of elections to the Bodoland Autonomous Hill Council. The state is on red alert and the international border between India and Bhutan was sealed. Counter-insurgency operations are underway in the Bodoland Territorial Area District. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Now, talking about the election results, well, Jammu and Kashmir threw up a fractured mandate with no clear winner in the assembly polls. PDP and BJP ended neck and neck in tight contest. Being the single largest party, PDP is keeping all its options open for a post-poll tie-up. BJP also claims that it is still not out of race.
It's turned out to be a fascinating contest in Jammu and Kashmir. The PDP has emerged as the single largest party in the state, with the BJP a close second against all expectations. Facing anti-incumbency National Conference has lost quite a bit of ground. For the Congress, the dismal show continues as it ended up in 4th position. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah failed to make a mark from Sonawar seat. He lost contesting for the first time from this constituency. However, he won from the 2nd seat, Birwa. PDP's chief ministerial prospect Mufti Muhammad Saeed won from Anantnag, a seat considered to be his party's bastion. While BJP did well in Jammu region, one of its best bets in the valley, Hina Bhatt, lost from Amira Kadal constituency. Among the independents, Sajjad Lone won his first electoral contest from Handwara seat.
अभी कोई ऑफर नहीं आया, ना हम कोई ऑफर ढूंढ रहे हैं. अभी नतीजे आ रहे हैं. हमें ये नतीजे डाइजेस्ट करने दीजिए. जिम्मेदारी हमारी नहीं बनती है हुकूमत बनाने की. कांग्रेस, बीजेपी, पीडीपी सब उनका अगर एक इशू था वो नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस को हराना. चलिए उन्होंने हमें हराया, अब जाके हुकूमत बनाए, हम भी देखें.
The hung assembly has raised speculation over possible post-poll alliances. A tie-up between BJP and PDP is possibly the best equation to garner a majority and form a government. However, both PDP and BJP are keeping their options open. The other possibilities of a post-poll tie-up will require more numbers to reach the magic figure. A lot will depend on which way the independents sway.
We are looking for a kind of a governance which is based on our agenda. जो हमने लोगों के सामने अपना एजेंडा रखा है गुड गवर्नेंस का और बाकी चीजें एंड इट्स गोइंग टू टेक टाइम।
2008 के चुनाव में बीजेपी के पास 11 सीटें थी। आज हम 25 सीटों पर बढ़त बना ली है या तो हम जीत चुके हैं। मतलब 14 सीटों की बढ़ोतरी जम्मू कश्मीर के अंदर हमने की है। और सबसे बड़ी आनंद की बात भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए है कि जम्मू कश्मीर में भारतीय जनता पार्टी सर्वाधिक वोट प्राप्त करने वाली पार्टी बनी है।
The assembly election in Jammu and Kashmir has proved to be a lost cause for the Congress yet again. The party could hope for a tie-up with the PDP to stay in power in Jammu and Kashmir.
I'm not going to dictate or tell anything to the PDP leadership what they are supposed to do. Mufti Sahib is a very seasoned leader. The call has to be ultimately taken by Mufti Sahib in the interest of his own party and in the interest of secularism of the state.
Congress has made the first move by offering support to the PDP, and National Conference has ruled out any role in the formation of the new government. However, with PDP keeping its cards close to its chest and BJP yet to spell out its strategy, the race for the seat of power in Jammu Kashmir is far from over. With Akhilesh Suman in Jammu and camera person Junaid Iqbal, Vishal Daya, Rajya Sabha TV, Srinagar.
Well, the BJP undertook a tough challenge to have its impact in the Kashmir and Ladakh Valley in this assembly polls, but it failed to do so. Despite aggressive campaigns and putting up Muslim candidates in the valley, BJP drew a blank in both Kashmir and Ladakh Valley. However, it virtually swept the Jammu region from where it won all its 25 out of 37 seats. Now, PDP's major gains were from the Kashmir Valley, where it won 25 out of 46 seats. Congress emerged winner in Ladakh Valley, securing 3 out of the 4 seats. All right, joining me at this moment is the senior journalist Rahil Jalani for a chat this morning. Thank you, Mr. Jalani, for joining us this morning. Mr. Jalani, how do you look at the verdict? We talk about Jammu and Kashmir first. Of course, PDP has emerged as the single largest party, but and both the parties, both the BJP and the PDP, are saying that they are open to all options. But the big question is, will and can the PDP form a coalition alliance with the BJP?
Well, let me correct you a bit. I'm not Jalani, I'm Jalali. It's a L-I. But that apart, I think, yes, it's an Hobson's choice for both PDP as well as BJP. I mean, how are they going to ally in the elections? But the fact remains that the Jammu-Kashmir verdict has been strangest ever. This is perhaps the only election where the party which has won, that's PDP, is sunk in a sense of gloom. And the party which has lost, and which is National Conference, is feeling satisfied with the verdict. But be that it may, fact is that the only stable government which will come about in the state is a PDP-BJP alliance. Apart from stability, this alliance will also cut across what is perceived as the divide between Jammu and Kashmir. So I think this alliance is needed for the state, but unfortunately there are ideological questions on both the organizations of how do they sell this alliance within their respective regions of strength as well as within their cadre base.
Right. Sorry for pronouncing your name wrong, Mr. Rahul. But we also take if you look at a national conference and also the other parties, how do you think that the national conference really fared in these elections?
Well, National Conference was expected to do far worse than what it has done. I mean, it's got 15 seats. Congress has not done very well, but surprisingly, Congress expected the seats that it expected to win in the valley. Those 3 it has lost, but seats which it never expected to win, it's won. One seat, for instance, is Sopore. Sopore is the heart of separatism and militancy. Said Gilani comes from this town, and Congress has won this seat. This seat normally has had hardly any polling. In the Lok Sabha elections, only 1% poll took place. In this assembly election, the polling was much higher at 30%, and this has gone to Congress. So the results which this election has thrown up has been really topsy-turvy. Secondly, everyone expected PDP to sweep Kashmir, but that hasn't happened. I think what happened was that in the first and the second phases, PDP was riding pretty. But in the third and fourth phases, a change took place. And National Conference sort of re-emerged in these phases of the elections. And PDP went back. That apart, Jammu is totally held by BJP, except for Chenab Valley, Rajouri, Poonch. The heartland of Jammu is totally dominated by BJP. One of the notable victories here is National Conference leader Devendra Rana, who managed to win a Grota seat, which is totally against the tide, where stalwarts both from National Conference and Congress lost. As far as the government formation comes, I mean, I might add that yesterday Omar Abdullah, the former chief minister or the outgoing chief minister, threw a clangor in the works when he said that he is waiting for a phone call from Mufti Muhammad Saeed, and therefore he might consider support. But that, I think, is a no-go, because I don't think that you build alliances with another political party through television channels when you talk to the anchors. I think this talk should have been done behind the scenes.
Right. Of course, Mr. Rahul, you stay with us. We'll just come back to you because we need to talk about what happened in Jharkhand also. Well, of the BJP's many election victories this year, the party celebrates yet again in Jharkhand today with its, in fact, yesterday with its ally, the AJSU. The BJP is... in fact, took 43 seats in the 81-member state assembly. The stability, development promise and a continued Modi wave yielded dividends yet again. The JMM, however, failed to impress it and the Congress doesn't even make it to the double figures.
Indications of big pluses for the BJP became clear within an hour of counting. Enough to fuel celebrations at BJP offices across Jharkhand and in New Delhi. Even initial trends indicated strong jumps over 2009, with leaders exuding confidence of the BJP's best ever performance.
प्रधानमंत्री जी को श्रेय देना चाहते हैं, अपने पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष को श्रेय देना चाहते हैं, हम अपने कार्यकर्ताओं को श्रेय देना चाहते हैं और साथ ही साथ झारखंड और जम्मू कश्मीर की जनता के प्रति आभार व्यक्त करना चाहते हैं.
Very soon, BJP leaders at the centre and in Jharkhand were out in the open, boasting of the success of the development plank, a continuation of the Modi wave, and ready to look to longer-term plans for Jharkhand.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी को प्रदेश की जनता ने पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार बनाने का आशीर्वाद किया है. इस जवाबदेही को भारतीय जनता पार्टी उस पर खरी उतरने के लिए पूरा कोशिश करेगी.
हम लोगों का नारा था इस चुनाव में पूर्ण बहुमत संपूर्ण विकास. तो आज के दिन जनता की जिम्मेवारी समाप्त हुई, जनता ने हमें जीत दे दी है और आज के दिन से जिम्मेवारी हमारी है.
विपक्ष को तो हताशा की बातें हैं. सरकार भारतीय जनता पार्टी की बन रही है और पार्टी के नेतृत्व में बन रही है.
With party chief Amit Shah voicing the final victory dedication formalities. Noticeably, he too held back on the party's chief ministerial face for the state.
जो हमारा वादा था कि पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार ही, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ही झारखंड का विकास कर सकती है, मैं झारखंड की जनता को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि वो वादे पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता खरे उतरेंगे.
Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, the incumbent party in power, actually fared marginally better than last time in terms of seats. But a strong BJP left the party well in the dumps. It's likely to be the biggest opposition party now.
हम दुमका हारे नहीं, बल्कि पूरा झारखंड जीते हैं. झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा ने अपनी ताकत का एहसास दिलाया. निश्चित रूप से विपक्ष के रूप में भी बेहतर प्रदर्शन हम करेंगे.
For the Congress, the Jharkhand results are little more than a repetition of the drubbings at the centre and other states earlier this year, as it put up a meek rejection of a Modi wave.
भले ही ये सेटबैक है कांग्रेस के लिए, ये तो कोई नई बात नहीं है। ये 98 में भी हमारा 3 राज्य में सरकार थे, 2004 तक हमारा 16 राज्यों में बन गया है। ठीक है, सारे स्टेटों में हारे हैं, ये कोई परमानेंट नहीं है।
The BJP's strong performance in Jharkhand comes 6 months after its stupendous win in the Lok Sabha elections. In Jharkhand, it had won 12 of the 14 parliamentary seats, signalling a change in the voters' mood. After Maharashtra and Haryana, this is the third state the BJP bags, following its victory in May.
Jharkhand election results may not be on the expected lines for BJP, but it has got enough numbers to form new government in the state. Another important fact from these elections is that JMM leader Hemant Soren has emerged successful to retain its party's seat in these elections against Modi's campaign. With cameraman Siddharth, this is Shyam Sundar for Rajya Sabha TV in Ranchi.
All right, Mr. Rahul, while of course the JNK equation will take some time setting exactly what happens, we have to wait and watch. But as far as Jharkhand is concerned, things are clearer. You think the promise for stability has really paid off for the BJP and its alliance?
Yes, I think it has because they've got a majority. They're going to form the government, and it's the first time that in Jharkhand that a single party is going to be in power without any alliances. But the real story about Jharkhand is going to be that this might be the first time that a non-tribal will become the chief minister of Jharkhand. This is what BJP had hinted before the elections, and if you go by reckoning, Raghuvar Das, a non-tribal leader of the BJP, might end up being the chief minister because the other contender, though not heavily into the fray, is Jayant Sinha, who also is a non-tribal. That apart is the emergence of Hemant Soren as the principal opposition leader in Jharkhand. He has dislodged his father, Guruji Shibu Soren, from the absolute leadership of Santhal Pargana and the tribals in Jharkhand. I think these are the two important stories which come from Jharkhand. And I hope that the BJP, which is now won in an absolute majority, lives up to its promises, because Jharkhand is one of the richest, is the richest state as far as mineral deposits are concerned. Nearly 40% of mineral deposits, the mineral wealth of the country lie in that state. Yet, it's the least developed state within the country.
True.
It's had successive governments. Nothing which has lasted its full term. The allegations of corruptions have been immense against everyone who was in power in Jharkhand. So probably things might turn the corner. I hope for the best for that state and its people.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul, for joining us and sharing your perspective on that story. And we'll take a very short break here. Much more coming up on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. After the break, you're watching the Breakfast News. Well, the month-long winter session of Parliament ended yesterday in the Rajya Sabha. There remained, little let up in the stalemate on the forced religious conversions issue, though parties aligned briefly to extend the validity of a key act benefiting residents of unauthorized colonies. Here is a report.
After days of near complete disruption, the members did come together briefly ahead of the end of the winter session. The issue: regularization of unauthorized colonies and rehabilitation of slum dwellers in Delhi. The validity of National Capital Territory of Delhi Law's Special Provisions Second Act stands extended to December 2017. Residents of unauthorized colonies will be protected from eviction till that date.
This bill was originally brought by Congress party. I have no hesitation to admitting it. 2006, then it has been extended from time to time. I am very much thankful for the entire House for standing together in passing this bill, which is the need of the hour.
MPs also collectively decided to refer the Repealing and Amending Bill 2014 and the Payments and Settlement Systems Amendment Bill to select committees of the House.
We refer to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha consisting of the following members, which has been slightly revised in consultation with party leaders.
But the religious conversion row wasn't far and soon returned to stall the proceedings. A stream of statements from leaders of Hindu outfits only served to amplify matters. 0 hour and question hour were the casualties as the opposition nudged for the Prime Minister's reply and the government refused to budge.
वो हम सबके प्रधानमंत्री, हम माने या नहीं है, वो देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं और हम उसका आदर करते हैं, लेकिन वो एक दफा तो आए कि मैं इन देशवासियों को सबको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि मेरी प्रधानमंत्रीशिप में, मेरी गवर्नमेंट में हर धर्म के लोग, हर जाति के लोग, हर प्रांत के लोग, हर भाषा के लोग सुरक्षित रहेंगे।
इस तरीके के बयान उनके नेताओं से कई जगह से आए जो और तनाव पैदा कर रहे हैं देश में। हम आपसे यही आग्रह कर रहे हैं कि हम सबको सुन के प्रधानमंत्री यहाँ पे आके जवाब दे कि कुछ एक्शन लेंगे।
Looking back at this session, the 233rd of the Indian Parliament, the two houses passed 10 bills. In addition, 8 bills were passed by the Lok Sabha but could not be taken up in the Rajya Sabha due to frequent disruptions. The logjam also derailed the government's agenda to push through economic reforms. The Insurance Laws Amendment Bill and the Coal Mines Special Provisions Bill remain hanging in the upper house. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, Lok Sabha was also adjourned on Tuesday. The winter session saw record legislative business being conducted. But on the last day also, the opposition demanded the Prime Minister's statement on the conversion row.
The winter session that started on 24th of November ended on Tuesday. Speaker Sumitra Mahajan gave a brief of the session and said that the House held 22 sittings with 129 hours of work done. The Speaker also informed the House that 18 bills were passed in this session, a record in recent times.
कि सत्र के दौरान 18 विधेयक पारित हुए जो हाल के वर्षों में एक तरह का रिकॉर्ड है और इसके लिए आप सभी धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं। ऐसा आपके सहयोग और प्रयासों के कारण ही संभव हो पाया है।
Earlier, as soon as question hour started, the Congress, TMC, led the opposition in demanding the Prime Minister's statement on the conversion issue.
हमारा यही मुद्दा था कि कर वापसी का जो हर जगह हो रहा है उसके बारे में प्राइम मिनिस्टर का एक स्टेटमेंट हम चाहते हैं।
But the Speaker turned down the request. When this resulted in an uproar, the House was adjourned till noon.
House stands adjourned to meet again at 12.
After 12, the Speaker gave a brief about the work done by the 16th Lok Sabha's winter session before adjourning its sine die. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And biting cold and dense fog disrupted normal life in North India. At least 31 people died across Uttar Pradesh. A drop in the mercury delayed trains and forced schools to shut till next week. While half a dozen people died in and around Lucknow, almost a dozen died in eastern parts of the state. Deaths were also reported from Rampur, Muradabad, Aligarh, Agra, Kanpur, Allahabad and Varanasi. Road accidents were also reported in various districts due to heavy fog. As many as 100 trains are running behind schedule. In Delhi, officials at the Indira Gandhi International Airport said that the weather has delayed 173 flights. The Met Department has predicted that the dense morning fog is likely to last till 29th of December. Let's now take a look at what all is lined up for the day in our special segment, Day Ahead. The BJP Parliamentary Board will meet today to discuss the post-poll situation at 12 noon. The party is also expected to finalize its chief ministerial candidate for Jharkhand. Congress Vice President Rahil Gandhi is expected to hold a meeting of AICC General Secretaries to take stock of the Congress's performance in the recent elections. The meeting is likely to be attended by all General Secretaries of the parties, including those in charge of Maharashtra and Haryana. Kerala Chief Minister Oommen Chandy will officially launch the theme song of the 35th National Games at the Olympia Chamber of the Chandrasekhar Nair Stadium in Thiruvananthapuram. The song is composed by Hariharan. And moving on to some international news, the Australian police arrested 2 men in connection with the Sydney attack. A 20-year-old was detained with documents that were designed to facilitate a terrorist attack, while another 21-year-old was charged with violating the control orders. The arrest followed warnings by Prime Minister Tony Abbott with a heightened terrorist chatter in the wake of a fatal cafe siege in Sydney's financial hub last week. 3 people, including the gunman, died in the 16-hour siege in this cafe. And let's take a look at some more international news in our special segment. The US has expressed concern over a Pakistani court granting bail to Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi. It has asked Pakistan to uphold the process of bringing the perpetrators of crime to justice. The Pakistani government has promised to cooperate in bringing him to justice. The Pakistani government today released a dreaded terrorist and chief of Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, Malik Ishaq. He was released after spending 3 years in jail, with the Pak government not seeking an extension of his detention. He was the mastermind behind the assault on the Sri Lankan cricket team in the year 2009 and had carried out various attacks on the Shia minority community several times. He was detained under the same law under which the key accused in the 2008 Mumbai attacks case, Zaki-ur-Rahman Lakhvi, was detained. Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa has promised a judicial inquiry into the allegations that his troops killed thousands of Tamil civilians at the end of the civil war. He made the announcement while releasing his election manifesto ahead of the 8th of January presidential polls. Let's take a look at the markets now, and US stocks rose on Tuesday as investors cheered new data showing the US economy grew in the third quarter at the fastest pace in over a decade. In the US markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended up 64.73 points or 0.4% to close at 18,024, which is a first in its history. The Standard & Poor's 500 rose 3.63 points or 0.2% to end business at 2,082. Nasdaq Composite lost 16 points or 0.33% to finish at 4,765. Gold prices tumbled by 265 rupees or 0.35% to 27,000 per 10 grams on Tuesday on reduced demands from jewelers and retailers. Talking about the silver, well, it also followed and lost 550 rupees or 0.45% to 36,350 rupees per kilogram on poor offtake by industrial units and coin makers. Well, the Asian stocks opened high after data showed the USA's world's biggest economy grew at the fastest pace since 2003 last quarter. Japan's Nikkei is up by 207.65 points or 1.18% to 17,842 at the start of trading. Also, Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose by 74.88 points or 0.32% to 23,333 at the start of trading. And time now for some sporting action in Sports Beat. Olympic gold medalist Abhinav Bindra successfully defended his 10-meter air rifle title at the 58th National Shooting Championships. Bindra shot a total of 208 to put off a strong challenge from Satyendra Singh, who finished second. Bindra had announced retirement from international shooting just before the 2014 Asian Games. Chelsea will spend Christmas at the top of the Premier League after they beat Stoke City 2-0 at the Britannia Stadium. The Blues went ahead inside 2 minutes with the goal from skipper John Terry. Cesc Fabregas then doubled the lead in the 78th minute to avenge Chelsea's last season's defeat at the same venue. Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams were named men and women's world champions for 2014 by the International Tennis Federation. It is the fourth time that Djokovic has taken the top award. Williams won the US Open, the 18th Grand Slam title of her career, and the WTA Tour Championship. And leading personalities of the Tamil film industry led cinema fans across the country in paying tributes to veteran director K. Balachandar. 84-year-old Balachandar passed away in Chennai on Tuesday. He was hospitalized for indisposition. In a distinguished career, Balachandar mentored many film actors including Kamal Haasan and Rajnikant. He was honored with the Padma Shri and Dada Sahab Phalke Award, besides being the recipient of National Film Awards and multiple Filmfare Awards. Ek Duje Ke Liye and Aina are some of his famous Hindi films. Well, that's all in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching and have a great day ahead.